And I got one more. Okay, so
Okay.
I got two more.
All right.
So in 12 verse 18,
Okay.
it talks about the gold in the temple because um who was it? Jehoahaz or Joash? Joash didn't want war. And it says,
Mm-hmm.
but Joash, the king of Judah, didn't want to go to war, so he took all the sacred objects. They had been set apart to the Lord by the kings who had ruled over Judah before him. Those kings were. Oh, well, never mind. My question was that the same gold from Solomon's reign? Because you remember they took the
Mm-hmm.
gold weapons and used them in battle because they didn't have anything. But then I didn't read close enough, I guess, because it says these kings were Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And all right. So really, why are they? What's the like? Why are they giving the gold up? Right. They don't want to fight against Syria.
right,
And what at this time they would. It was a custom for there was a certain kind of perceived or a show of mutual respect among different kingdoms,
okay,
and they would give gifts to each other,
right,
but those gifts were really tribute. So the king of Syria might say, hey, Judah, wouldn't it be nice if you gave us a gift?
okay, yeah,
And the
That's-
king of
okay.
Judah said, oh, you know what? We were thinking about giving you a gift. Here, why don't you take this wonderful gold gift? You
Right.
take it. It's a gift from us to you. And the king of Syria says, well, thank you very much for your gift. We look forward to continuing this wonderfully peaceful relationship that we have with
Right.
each other, right? And so that happens a few times here.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of convinced that's what the Queen of Sheba is doing in Solomon's court,
okay, yeah,
right? Back in First Kings.
right,
Here is we're going to exchange gifts, and
Right.
maybe one gift is a lot bigger than the other gift, but it's a gift,
Right.
Right. This kind of and this was actually a very popular thing at the end of the Bronze Age, which ended in like the 12th century BC. Now into the Iron Age, and they would do this, and the kings of Egypt and the Hittite kings and the Minoans and the Mycenaeans and the Assyrians and the Babylonians,
right,
they would exchange gifts with each other, right? And so that's probably what's happening here.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like America going into somewhere. I was like, I like this oil.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Yeah, something like that. Why don't you gift that to us,
Right.
right? Or why don't we make a deal for it?
We'll protect you even though you haven't been invaded ever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, foreign policy plays out that way today.
Right.
And so unfortunately, that's just a reality of the world that's been around for a very long time.
Right.
Right. So,
And then lastly, in chapter 13, verse 21. So, verse 20 and 21. I'll go ahead and read it. Elisha died and was buried. Some robbers from Moab used to enter the country of Israel every spring. One day, some Israelites were burying a man. Suddenly, they saw a group of robbers, so they threw the man's body into Elisha's tomb. The body touched Elisha's bones. When it did, the man came back to life again. He stood up on his feet. Do we know who that is? Is that just a one-off story, or?
I think it's just a one-off story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
is there foreshadowing
I think it's
to
just a
come?
one-off kind of. I mean, it just shows that even in his death, like what is Elijah's body just have like power emanating from
Right.
it,
Yeah. Well,
even
yeah.
as he's dead in the grave.
Part of what I was gonna say earlier was like we thought Elisha was bad, and how like he killed everybody, or
Yeah.
using the 40,000 men or whatever that he blinded.
Yeah.
And then you read about Jehu, and you're like, well,
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's interesting that they allied. Yeah. Well, hey, we didn't even talk about the calling out the she bears to, uh, to kill the children, making fun of them for being bald.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like and you have to think that I think, and of course, even like Jehu, God tells Jehu to do what he does.
Right. Yeah, and
So-
then after he's like, you've done right in the eyes of the Lord or something
Yeah,
like that.
and so what I think is interesting about this time period and the way that God, because he uses Israel to destroy kingdoms, and then of course he uses other kingdoms to destroy the kingdoms of Israel and
Right.
Judah.
Yep.
And what you see, I think, is that God has his hand in history, and he's doing things that are consistent with the world as it stands.
Right.
So nation rises up against nation. It's a broken, dark world of sin and death. Nation rises up against nation. And God kind of uses that as a form of judgment on people groups. And he's just doing what the world does.
Right.
And then when he fully reveals himself in Jesus, he says, well, actually, this is really not a good way to do things.
Right.
And this is not what this creation is supposed to be about. And so with Jesus, then, you get the exact opposite.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So it's one thing when God is operating in a way that he's very hidden, and he operates through the kingdoms of the world, and we call this his alien will, his will that's different than what we see in Christ, at least the way that it reveals himself in Christ. And so he's doing these things in a very hidden way, but when he fully reveals himself, you see, oh, he is the judge. He does bring judgment. He does use one people group to judge another. But that's also kind of a part of his hiddenness. And when he
Right.
fully reveals himself, it's, well, you actually should not be the one killing another. It's, you should be the one laying down your life for another.
Right.
It's like,
It-
okay.
It's like the kind of like the same God you saw in the Garden of Eden is in Jesus almost.
Well, yeah, but remember also the God in the Garden of Eden is he does give Adam and Eve a punishment of death.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the same. It's all the same God. It's just how has he revealed himself?
Right.
And so if you want to see Moses, if Moses tries to approach God in this hidden way, he's going to die.
Right.
If Elijah really tries to approach God in this hidden way, he's going to die.
Yeah.
But they can both stand on the Mount of Transfiguration and encounter Jesus face to face and not die.
Right.
Right? So yeah, you would not want to, if God has not fully revealed himself here, he is scary. You would not want to approach him.
Right.
But when he does fully reveal himself in and through Jesus, then now you have an invitation to approach him.
Okay.
And actually be called his child and be a part of his heavenly kingdom.
Right.
And it's this message of grace. It's not a different God. It's just he has now extended the full invitation,
Right.
and he's actually laid his life down as a part of that. So I think that's why when you read the Old Testament and the New Testament, and people walk away and say, "Oh, this is, God is mean in the Old Testament, he's nice in the New Testament," or God is different, he's angry, in the Old Testament, and does terrible things, in the New Testament he's nice. It's like, well, no, I mean, you should listen to Jesus talk the 7 woes of the scribes and the Pharisees,
Yeah.
and predicting the destruction of Jerusalem. That's not good,
Right.
right? But it is when he does decide to fully reveal himself and pour his spirit out onto humanity, then it's the same God. It's just now an invitation,
Right. Yeah, I
to be a
understand that.
part of him, and so
Well, and it's also kind of cool to look at the two different aspects of it, like to really understand, like fully understand both aspects, both sides.
yeah. And in the Old Testament, there are times where you do see his gracious side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You do see his gracious side, and there again in the New Testament, you do see his judgmental side.
Right.
I mean, he's the same God, but
Yeah, he's probably said like 20 times by now for the sake of David.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's very gracious.
Oh yeah.
But when he fully reveals himself, it's like, okay, this is a grace that we could not even comprehend
Right.
before. So
Well, that sums up what I had for today.
okay, very good. Now I want to go back and read more carefully the family feuds and the
Yeah,
the
no.
change up in that what is it, chapters 10, 11, and 12.
'Cause
A little more closely and say, okay, what the heck is actually going on?
Right. Yeah, no,
So,
it's
but-
confusing.
But as always, thank you for your questions.
Oh yeah, thank you for answering.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.